New year, new man. But enough about me. This is the aim of two single BH listeners who've agreed to let their friend choose a date for them in 2024. The dating apps now encourage this too. Tinder has a new tool called Matchmaker, allowing others in your life to scrutinise potential partners. We can return to Susie Champion, who is middle-aged and looking for a craggy man with a sense of humour and a pulse. Her daughter Lauren will now assist her search. And first, Vicky Carter. We've met her before. She's in her 30s and she's exhausted after meeting 25 men in the last 12 months who like hiking and music. We'll hear her friend Gemma, who's going to help her new strategy in 2024.
Hi, Vicky. How you doing, love?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Mike is playing ball in the background, so if you hear any disturbance, it's just the dog.
Oh.
And Susie, are you there?
I am. Hi, Paddy. Happy holidays.
Happy New Year, Susie. And is your friend Lauren?
My daughter, Lauren.
Your daughter, Lauren. Well, she could be your friend as well.
She is my friend, very much so.
Hiya.
Hi, Lauren. Lovely to meet you, Lauren and Gemma. But Vicky and Susie, we've all met before. So, Vicky, did you have any successful dating in 2023?
To sum it up, I'd say I've kept trying and I've kept failing. I spoke to your colleague in mid-December and I was at my wit's end. I'd given up. I needed a break because it's relentless. It's so tiring going for like a job interview each time. And not only speaking to people on, the app and because most of my dates are through online, but I also have met people in real life. And it's just exhausting going through that process and then going on a date and then them not being who you hope them to be. So I actually got to the point where I did some stats and I calculated through my diary that I've met 25 guys this year, which is the entire cast, I feel, of like a Take Me Out or something.
Well, I mean, the thing is that don't describe it as failure because, I mean, that's in the eye of the beholder. You've been actively dating is how we'd say that on the radio. And Susie, what about you?
I've come close a couple of times. I've been out and about, but I've still found it better to travel, hopefully, than to arrive. I've put myself into situations where I found it easier to catch COVID than get a good date.
Well, Susie, I seem to remember that you like to meet people serendipitously, a very hard word to say, and you like to put yourself in the position where a handsome middle-aged man is suddenly next to you in a queue. That's your favoured system, is it not?
Absolutely, yes. I did have a wonderful encounter at an airport with a charming gentleman, but sadly his flight was taking him off in a different direction to me, and I didn't have time to get any numbers or exchange emails.
Gemma, you've agreed to be a matchmaker for Vicky. What do you think your role involves?
I think maybe trying to challenge Vicky's normal type a little bit, give her the chance to maybe go on a date with someone she may not necessarily pick first time around, to just show that there are different options. You know, they don't have to tick every single box to potentially get a connection.
What is her type?
They have to travel, they've got to love music, they've got to be into the outdoors, they've got to be like confident, they've got to have that physical attraction, they've got to be passionate. It's a long list.
There's a song, isn't it? It's got to have big blue eyes, be able to satisfy. It's one of the songs. I can't remember who wrote it. And Lauren, you've agreed to be a matchmaker for your mum. So what's your role?
I'd say cheerleader, probably. I'm just, encouraging her to actually try a few things, be a bit more active in it rather than passive, and take a bit of a role in making it happen herself.
And are you prepared to push Susie onto the apps?
I've tried. I'm hitting a brick wall. She's very resistant to the more modern tech ways of meeting people. So I'll keep trying, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe I need to do it covertly in the background.
Susie, in the interest of the New Year experiment, you've got to agree to use the apps, haven't you, really?
I think I'm getting to that point, yes. The clock is ticking and I can't use it as an excuse anymore. The only reason I've resisted and been quite stubborn is that I think it makes people a bit lazy. And I think that we want to be a little bit more interactive. But, of course, in the current crisis with cost of living, events are cut back, things that I used to regularly do, that we've all had to cut back on them, like popping to the pub. It's quite expensive now. So maybe I will have to, and if Lauren filters out things for me, then yeah, I'm up for it. I'll go for it.
Vicky, it sounds like quite an exciting start to the year for both of you because you're doing something different.
I'm looking forward to Gemma taking the reins, because if anyone can spot a good man and when to give them a chance, it's her.
And Susie, you're older than Vicky. You're someone who's had a very successful relationship in the past. So is it important for you to repeat that or to be different from it? Are you looking for someone who's like your first successful relationship, or are you trying to be different?
I think not trying to be different. I think it just naturally will have to be different, because clearly that at some stage broke down and didn't work. But I'm also a different person. I feel like I'm a clay pot that's been through a fire and I've come out as refined porcelain at the other end. I'm tougher, and I think it'll take quite a strong man to handle a feisty older woman, because I won't stand for any nonsense. Like Vicky, I do have a wish list. Adventurous and traveller is definitely up there. Good looks, whatever, no. Craggy and, anybody with a pulse and who's solvent will do.
Well, it's very kind of you to let us in, Lauren, Susie, Gemma and Vicky.
Thank you.
So thank you.
It's funny that we've come back, sorry.
I know. I feel I need to meet Vicky now. Perhaps we could go out together.
We've had so much fun. We're so similar. Like, that's the thing, when you were saying feisty, I was like, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of men who can't handle, like, women
Absolutely.
like us.
Maybe you can meet a father and son.
That's an idea.
Are you listening, Lauren? And Gemma?
Yeah.
Here is your challenge. I'll travel.
Vicky and Susie clearly need their own podcast. BH dating experiment enlisting friends to spot love matches has been declared a disaster. Vicky Carter appeared here a few weeks ago and agreed to use her friend Gemma to pick a shortlist of men from the same smartphone app. Together they whittled 3,000 matches down to 12, but the whole experience was so bad she's given up dating, as she told me and veteran agony aunt Joan Burney.
Gemma was excellent at picking matches because she has good standards in men. So it was a criteria, basically, looking for matches that know what they're looking for, a long-term relationship, a lifelong partner. I then paid to be able to access all my matches at the same time, which was why there was such a substantial amount of over 3,000 matches.
Wow.
And then we filtered them out together. If they didn't hit the same criteria that Gemma set out, basically a lot of men who were shirtless, putting pictures up that they were exercising, they didn't know what they were looking for, that they didn't put anything in their bio. So we whittled them down to 12 that we agreed on, and then there was 5 that could have a conversation, and then I went on no dates.
Right. So, Joan, from 3,000 to 12, of whom only 5 were able to have a conversation. Is this what you were expecting from this experiment on the apps, Joan?
I'm surprised that you managed to get 5. I mean, that's absolutely astonishing. It all sounds so tiring. I mean, the thought of going through 3,000 profiles of 3,000 shirtless or shirting men. I mean, it's so tiring. So very, very good luck. But you did find the 5, and then what happened next?
Well, then they kind of dropped off, really. You're right, though. It's very draining, emotionally, mentally, speaking to people, having the same conversations. Hi, how are you? What are you up to? How was your day? What are you interested in? What do you do? It's just you're going round in circles and all that energy. So I've actually given up. I've given up dating apps now. Their experiment pushed me to the edge, and I'm doing 6 months of me, and it's going brilliantly. But in regards to those matches, the reason why I went on no dates with the 5, one who was ticked all my boxes and said he wasn't ready for a relationship. So why are you on an app then?
What was he doing then on the app if he wasn't ready for a relationship?
Thank you.
Well, I think we can probably guess what he was doing on the app. If he wasn't looking for a relationship, he was looking for something else. And Joan, in your life, you had a marriage which then ended, and you started dating again in your 30s. So when you listen to Vicky, who's dating men in their 30s, are you glad that you didn't have apps when you started looking for love again in your mid-30s?
Absolutely. Down on my knees, thank God we didn't have anything like that. We met people, I know it sounds extraordinary, we met them in pubs, we met them at work, we met them when we were out and about, so that you saw, as I'm always saying, the whites of their eyes. It is much easier, after all, I think Vicky would agree, to you can't really judge somebody on an app. You have to see them. My daughter has a theory that anybody who wants a man can easily find one, but anybody who wants an ideal man will probably still be waiting in 50 years' time.
Now hold on. I think you may have put your finger on it there. Vicky, is it possible that you yourself are pursuing a sort of matrix-like creation? You need to get into the pub and you need to stop idealising men, Vicky. That's a theory for you.
Well, I meet people all the time in real life. I met someone just in the phone shop the other day. I think the problem is that with the creation of apps now, people think, well, if this connection doesn't work, then you feel quite replaceable because there's so many options out there.
And also, I mean, we're doing a series with teenage boys on Radio 4 at the moment, and I think they'd probably be quite educated at school that they'd have to have all sorts of hurdles to cross in order to chat someone up in a supermarket. I mean, Joan, if someone approaches you in a supermarket and talks to you in a flirtatious way, is that allowed these days?
Let's be absolutely honest. At my age, nobody's going to talk to me in a supermarket in a flirtatious way. They're going to say, "Can I help you with that basket?"
No, but you can see what
But in the olden days, I did actually find that you did make quite a lot of connections in the supermarket.
Yes.
Especially if you were shopping, as I very often was, late at night, because you've been working all day and you were rushing in.
Just before the off licence shut. But
yes.
Vicky, what about the sexual politics of being approached as a single woman in a supermarket by a guy that seems to break some rules as well as it may meet your expectations?
It was a bit strange. I was focusing on what type of nuts I was going to buy, actually. And then he turned to me and muttered something under his breath, which was odd. And then I said, sorry. And then he said, "You have nice eyes." And I went, "Thanks." And then he just walked away. So, not really relationship kind of potential there, but it was a strange encounter. So yeah, like I said, I mean, you can meet men anywhere, but if you want to meet the right one, then I guess it's a difficult process.
I mean, this is the thing. What is the right man? People write down the criteria, I suppose. I mean, I have lived on my own for a very, very long time, no doubt, because I wasn't so much that I couldn't find the right man, but no man would find me the right woman. I like living alone. One of my other theories in life is that until you can live happily with yourself, and I'm sure you do, Vicky, you can't live happily with anybody else. I like being alone. I don't like people shifting my cushions around, all sorts of things like that. But I realize this doesn't suit everybody.
Well, no, you're making a very good argument for getting a shed. I mean, if you get a relationship, but get a shed. Vicky,
a she shed.
Basically, if we're drawing it to a conclusion, Joan wants you to be happy and optimistic, I feel. But the question is, after this experiment, are you?
I'm happy and optimistic to be on my own for a while. I'm really happy being on my own. I've built a bookcase. I've built a bar. I've put mirrors up in my flat. I'm exercising 3 or 4 times a week. So, I mean, I'm happy and optimistic in the fact that I'm happy with myself and enjoying my own company. And I'll just see what happens.